Hey guys, F26 here, and welcome back to highlights of ILR2 on the Xbox side here. And it's been a while since you last saw me for the British Grand Prix, because I basically lost motivation and time to make highlights for the 3 league races I did a week. So I stopped doing them for a bit, but now I'm back for the final 3 races of the season, and that's due to the championship fight, which has now unfolded. When you left me at Britain, I think I was 46 points behind the championship leader Midzi, but I then didn't race in Germany and he won, so that took it up to 71 points. But after Christmas break, I came back strong with a win in Hungary and Midzi DNF, so those races sort of cancelled each other out. Unfortunately, I followed that with a DNF in Belgium, but then I had 3 very strong races of 2nd in Monza and 3rd in Singapore and Russia, followed by a 5th in Japan, which got the gap down to 14 points from 46 after Hungary. Unfortunately, I got taken out last week in America, so only finished 13, which puts the gap back up to 16 points and me down to 3rd in the championship, with Brumson a couple of points ahead of me. But standings will have been on screen at some point to help explain that. But we're now here to start our qualifying lap in Mexico. Highlights will be returning for the final 3 races to cover the championship fight, as we are currently sitting in P2. We're going for the Hypersofts. We're going for the 2-stop here along with my teammates, my new teammate SHZ Overkills, and we're going to be hoping to make the 2-stop work. I think quite a lot of people will go for the 1-stop, but we're convinced that due to the high tyre temps around this track, the 2-stop, as well as yielding track position at the start, will also yield better pace overall throughout the race. We're not sure who else is going for it. I think Palzeri is going for it. I've just passed him on the outlap and he's on the Hypers. So it's looking like a few of the championship contenders will go for it, but not necessarily all of them. We'll have to wait and see. The lap's been pretty solid so far. We haven't taken quite the line that I would have liked through there, but we'll have to live with it as we come through the final part of the S's. Full commitment through there, not cutting any of the corners, which will invalidate your lap as we now head down towards sector 3, breaking down into 4th gear, let the car run out wide but not off the track, as we now head into the horrible stadium section, round this hairpin, terrible corner. Try not to get too unsettled by the curb there as we now head round the penultimate and the final corner to finish it up. What is the time going to be from us? It's a 1 minute 12.9, which is my personal best and also enough for provisional pole here, but not to be. My teammate Overkills beat me to pole position, with Dasfal in 3rd and Palzeri in 4th, with Brumson, one of our championship rivals, going for the ultra soft, so presuming the 1-stop, all of the top 4 on the Hypers and trying the 2-stop, but Midsy's all the way down in 15th. He's using the wheel this week because he sees it as a pointless exercise going on the pad, and he's obviously gone to get 3 tyre choices at the start, but that's very risky. He could get caught up in something back there, but we now go to the race. Jeff is suggesting hyper soft, ultra soft. Personally, not a fan. I think the supers will have better temperatures, so we're going to go for 1 super stint as opposed to 2 ultra stints, which should allow me to push harder and gain back the time that I've lost from having to make that extra pit stop. But we're now here on the grid with the lights, the Force India front row. It's 4 lights, now there's 5. And it's lights out and away we go here in Mexico. We've got a reasonably good start, but Overkills has actually started to pull away, but that's not necessarily a good thing for him because he's now going to helpfully give me the slipstream, very kind of him, which will allow me to pull away from Dasfal, who's got a better start, and also alongside my teammate as we head down to turn 1 here. We're going to try and take the lead around the outside, obviously leaving him space on the apex, and we have got that move done here, up into position 1 of the start, which is absolutely crucial. We now got Overkills as a rear gunner, which is obviously crucial here, which will hopefully protect me from any moves from aggressive drivers behind for the first couple of laps. From practice, I do think he's a little bit quicker, but we'll see what we can do here. We have got track position at the start, and we'll be hoping to make the best use we can of that to bring home some solid points. Hopefully, maybe get him out of DRS, but that will be quite difficult. Although dirty air following a car through the middle sector S's isn't very nice, so hopefully he'll have dropped back a little bit from that, but I don't really mind Overkills beating me. He's only done half the season. He's not in a championship fight, so it doesn't really matter if he takes points off me. It's people like Palzeri and Brumson and Dasfel and any of the other 5 drivers who are currently in the championship fight, as we've gone in too deep to the last corner there, having to shift down to 2nd, which I prefer not to do. but we do lead the end of lap 1 here, ahead of our teammate Overkills, with Pelzeri jumping Dasfell up to 3rd as we now skip to the end of lap 2. Overkills is stuck with us. He is within the DRS, but the detection point is before the line, so we won't have it this lap, but he's beaten our fastest lap there, and if he tries to go for a move, I'm not going to fight it. I'll happily just sit behind him to help save the ERS. And as you can see, he's pulled alongside. We're turning all the modes down just to let him go through there, and he regains the lead from the pole position that he had. He's a bit cautious on the brakes into turn 1, but I'm happy just to follow him through now. Pelzeri is reasonably close behind us, but I think we do have the measure on him in terms of pace here, as we follow our teammate through towards the end of sector 1. And we managed to stick with him as we now skip to the end of lap 5. This is Overkill's pit stop lap. We discussed it before the race. We're going to let him have the undercut, because I prefer to do a slightly longer stint on the hypers, because I thought I could make them last, which they were all right as we skip to the end of lap 6. Dasfell has now repassed Pelzeri, but we're now going to come into the pits following our teammate after leading a lap there, with Dasfell taking the lead and Pelzeri following him through for another lap on the hypers, whereas obviously everyone else is on the ultra, so they'll be staying out as well. So we'd have to see how much time we lost from the undercut. It is quite powerful around here, but there's only one lap, and the hypers weren't too bad, and it's compared to the supers, which is a 2-step difference. So I don't think I'll have lost too much, as you can see coming out the pits there. And now Overkills has passed us as we're down into P13 here with Chris Macca-Jones, who jumped the start, unfortunately, and a few others behind us. But yeah, not too bad. Overkills has probably got us out of DRS now, but I'm not too fussed about that. He'll have to catch up to traffic, which we'll both have to get through. There'll be a lot of it, because obviously we're down in 12th and 13th, and we're trying to get back up to 1st and 2nd, but hopefully the traffic doesn't cause too many problems as we skip to the end of lap number 7 there. Dasfell and Pelzeri have come into the pits, which moves us up into 10th and 11th respectively, as we continue to push on to try and catch up to the one-stoppers there. Obviously, both of us going for the undercut on the Dasfell and Pelzeri has extended the gap further, as we now skip. A couple of laps later, I've caught up to the back of Catherine in the Renault, who's the first of the one-stoppers. Overkills is just ahead. He's already managed to get past her, but look at how much better traction we have off the final corner than the Renault. We're going to take the position nice and easy there. We'll also get the DRS, because the detection point is at the end of sector 3, which moves us up into the points. Both of us land the points. Overkills in 9th, myself in 10th. As we head down towards turn 1, it's getting quite hectic in front of us. Going almost 3 wide there. Overkill's having a look around the outside of Mincy, the championship leader, who we've already caught up to here on the 2-stop. So this is just showing it's lap 10 now, and we've already caught some of the one-stoppers. We're going to have a look up the inside of Mincy into turn number 4, and we do in fact get the move done. We're just going to leave him space in case he wants to go for the move on the inside of 5, which he helpfully doesn't, as now Overkills is round the outside of Blazer Guns into the double right-hander. We're going to follow him through round the outside of the Sauber there, and that's a very clever move from myself, just following in my teammates' footsteps, as we now both get past the McLaren and the Sauber in sector 1 there, and we now move up into 7th and 8th respectively, as we now skip on to the next lap. Overkills has managed to get past Minty, who's new for this week, on the pit straight, whereas I'm now having to follow him through the middle sector, and as you can see, Overkills is getting away a lot here, which is not ideal, but we'll have to try and find a way past Minty in the last sector here. He's run quite wide through that right-hander. We're going to maybe have a look around the outside of the hairpin. Can we get the move done? He's left us the space there, but not really for the next right-hander. We've touched him, but I didn't really feel their space, and the touch was a bit desync related in my opinion. So we're going to take the position, but we've lost a huge amount of time to Overkills there. The gap's now up to 2.3 seconds, which is a lot more than it was after we passed Blazer Guns on the previous lap, but skipping on to lap number 12, we caught up to another train here in sector 3. Overkills is getting stuck behind people. We're going to have a look on the inside of Womson into the last corner. Quite an aggressive move. He shuts the door, but now wants to go in the pits, so has to back out of it, as we manage to move past the Ferrari up into P6 here, as Overkills is now having a look at Anti-Beacon and someone else in the battle for 4th, is that? 3rd even, it's Josu, I believe, as we now head down towards turn 1. Overkills has got past both of them, which now means there's 2 cars between us. I've turned in way too early for turn 2 there. We're going to get a warning for that, but we're not taking a good line through turn 3, which is annoying. But Josu doesn't have DRS at all. He was clearly leading this pack at the start of the pit straight, but we're going to relinquish him of position number 5 there and take that place for ourselves, as Josu loses 3 places in the first sector there. But Overkills and I have done a good job here. We've got through the traffic. We haven't really got involved in any incidents. There's been a bit of contact, wheel-to-wheel contact between me and a couple of drivers, but no damage, which is the crucial thing when you're doing the alternate strategy and fighting through the field, as we now have to have a look at the back of Anti-Beacon, who's sliding through the left-hander there in the middle sector. He is on the pad, so obviously that makes life not particularly easy for him, as we've gone very close to hitting the back of him at the start of sector 3 there. That would have been disastrous for our race, as we now head through the stadium section once again, past the fans in the grandstands there and under the flying works board around the final corner. Antivica's got a big slide on. We're going to have DRS here. It's going to be a really easy move, I think, but no, he's starting to pull away now. There's a bit of lag, so that's not what we want whatsoever, but we now have the DRS and we're able to pull past nice and easily before turn 1 he dives back into the slipstream, but to no avail, and we move up into P4. Meanwhile, Overkill has got past Flying Rossi to move up into P2 himself, so the two stop working wonders at the moment. We're already up into P2 and 4 here. Are the Force Indias, with Palzeri a bit further back along with Dasfeld, as we now head to sector 3. And then there's a yellow flag behind us. Anti-Beacon is out of the race. He's clearly lost it, and Dasfeld as well, so they must have collided, and that is one of the championship contenders out of the race here. I'm guessing Beacon lost it on his old tyres and Dasfeld just hit into him there, so very unfortunate for those two, but that's one less championship contender we have to worry about, as we're now on the back of Flying Rossi here. With the DRS, he obviously won't have it. I think he's dropped too far back from Overkill, but we were quite far back, but putting the ERS up into overtake, we're able to fly past him on the run down to turn 1, to move ourselves up into position 3 here, which is absolutely ideal. Overkill's up into P2, catching up to the back of Kushmania in the Sauber, and hopefully we'll be able to catch up to that as well and get back into the Force India 1-2 as we skip on to the next lap. Overkills has now passed the Sauber of Kushmania as we head through sector 1, but we cut that corner big time. We got a penalty there, which is very deserved, but really frustrating because we're doing quite a good job of not getting a penalty here, and that's a very stupid corner cut to do as we now skip to the end of the lap. We've caught up to the back of the Sauber with those yellow flags as someone gets out of the way of us there, as Kushmania's tyres are really struggling here, and we should have no trouble getting past him on the pit straight as we come out of the final corner. Now he's actually got a better exit than I would have expected, but he's too far back from Overkill to have the DRS. We will obviously have the DRS, and it's going to be a pretty easy move with the slipstream, and now the DRS. We're going to fly past the Sauber to move ourselves back up into position 2 as there's a lap car getting out of the way there. So it's a 1-2 for Force India. We've restored it here already in the middle stint, and that's very impressive from us, and we're going to continue on our way for the final few laps of this stint before getting on the Ultra Softs to go towards the end of the race. As we now skip a few laps later, we've got Blazer Guns behind us, who's come out of the pits on fresh tyres, and due to the tyre performance differential from warm tyres to fresh tyres, despite him being a lap down, he's a lot faster than us, so we'll just let him through there. No point fighting that as he locks up into turn 1, but hopefully he can push after Overkills and we can kind of follow him up. As you can see, Overkill's not far ahead at the moment, so we're doing quite a good job, given his pace in practice was much better than mine. I've upped the pace quite a bit compared to them as we now skip on to lap number 22. Coyote gets out of the way of us there as we come through the stadium section once again. Overkill started to get away at the end of the stint. My tyre started to go off as he's now heading into the pits here as we come across the line to finish that lap. So once again allowing him to have the undercut, and this is where the undercut really is powerful, from the supers onto the ultras. Fresher tyres of a better compound, and that Overkills will probably gain quite a lot of on me on this pit stop, but that's fine. I wasn't expecting to win, and we'll maybe be able to come back at him at the end of the race depending on the gap. As we now come in on the next lap for a set of ultras ourselves. We only have to do 13 laps on them. That should be fine. We'll have to see where we feed out. Palzeri continues on for another lap, as he did in the first stint, as we've got Brumson, who went for an undercut on everyone else on the one stop, who's up into second, with Overkills behind him. Flying Rossi goes past as well, as we now got Jossu coming down the pit straight. We need to be very careful here. Make sure we stay out ahead of him. We've gone to turn up all the ERS and the fuel, and we are actually nice and comfortably ahead of him here as we head down towards turn 1 for the 24th time. But yeah, we're quite far back compared to Overkills. His undercut has worked exceptionally well, but obviously we still only have one penalty at this point, so maybe if it comes down to penalties we might be able to sneak a win here, but I don't know what his penalty situation is. As we skip to the end of lap 24, Palzeri's in the pits for a set of ultras himself, as we're going our way about closing up to Flying Rossi and Womson, which will get us back up into position 2 behind our teammate. as we skip to the end of that lap now. We have caught up to the Williams and the Ferrari here, who are very slow in the last sector. Their tyres starting to get a bit old now, and obviously we're on much fresher ultra softs, which are faster anyway, as we're going to get a good exit off the last corner, but not quite good enough to pull alongside, so we're going to tuck back into the slipstream behind the Williams, but we shouldn't have any trouble, even though he does have DRS as well. He's not particularly close to the Ferrari up one, so we do pull alongside towards turn 1. Will we be later on the brakes? Yes, indeed we are, as we move up into position 3 now, with just the Ferrari ahead of us. And we're going to get the DRS on him as well. We've had much more grip through the first 3 corners. He has no DRS, obviously, because he was leading the train. He goes defensive, but I'm not sure there's going to be too much he can do as we head round the outside into turn number 4, which will give us the inside line to turn 5. We have understeered a little bit, but he didn't look for the cutback, and that is us back up into P2 behind our teammate Overkills to return the Force India 1-2 here as we continue on our way. Hopefully we can get them out of DRS before the end of that. We've run very wide through there, understeering off the track. And so we've cut that corner as well, just a disastrous couple of corners there, which has given us a penalty here, which now makes that our second penalty, which is not ideal whatsoever. Just me losing concentration for a couple of corners there and picking up a stupid warning, as we now skip on to the end of lap 29, as we're behind Revolution, who's not had a great race. He's getting lapped here as we get on the DRS behind him. He helpfully stays to the inside and then lifts off to let us through here. So maybe that will help us gain up to the back of our teammate a little bit, but the gap is about 5 or 6 seconds here. So at the moment he only has 9 seconds of penalty, so with our 6 seconds we're not close enough, but if he gets another penalty, maybe it'll be enough to help us win the race as we skip on to lap number 33. We've got a very harsh warning there, and that's our 3rd penalty, which is really frustrating, but this is a very difficult track for track limits, and we've picked up a few stupid warnings there which might cost us here, but Overkills has deserved it. Final lap now. He has picked up an extra penalty, but obviously we did as well, so it's not going to be enough, but he was the quicker driver today. He's deserved the win as we come through the stadium section to the flares or fireworks sort of things. Overkills wins the race here, but what matters more is the team result of a 1-2 and also my result of 2nd for the championship here. A great result. Palsari comes home 3rd, but yeah, fantastic race, really entertaining on the ultimate strategy, which meant I got to do a lot of overtaking, as well as our teammate. I'm sure we both enjoyed that. The 1-2 obviously picking up 43 points for the constructors means we're now back in it, but the drivers championship is my main focus. Mitzi finished down in 7th, as you'll be able to see on screen in a bit. Bromson didn't finish until we got caught up in an incident with Flying Rossi after I got past, so that means we now close to within 4 points in the championship. Hopefully I'll be able to get the championship standings on stream, but there we go. There's the podium sitters, and as you can see, results as well. Jossie coming home 4th for the 7th time this season, with Flying Rossi in 5th, Kushmania in 6th, Minty coming home in 7th. Not a bad race for him given he was on the wheel. Minty in 8th, Catherine in 9th, I believe, and who was 10th? Chris Macca-Jones in 10th. Wumson, Jamie and Daswell all DNFing, which means they lose out on the championship, which might be on screen now if I've managed to find a good screenshot. But yeah, 2 races to go with 4 points behind. It's in my hands, and I'll see you next week for what will hopefully be another entertaining race around Brazil. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.